So welcome to a restorative session. I have been thinking a lot this week about how I spend all this time sort of preparing these yoga classes and lessons, and we have like new Sanskrit vocabulary words, and I'm pulling in the sutras and the Bhagavad Gita, and we have learned all these words and all these verses and all these mantras and things. And I feel like no matter how much variety I try to bring into it, I feel like I'm teaching the same lesson over and over and over again. And at first I was like, man, maybe I'm just not being creative enough. And then I realized, well, that's just the nature of yoga. Yoga means union, and it has, at least in my experience in my life, been a practice of how the things that seem like separate things in your life all sort of fit together and begin to flow into one kind of seamless existence. And if that sounds really heady, just wait. We've got more sutras and things coming to play with our minds. But what I wanted to focus on as far as three seemingly separate concepts that I want to kind of marry or draw into a single experience. And those three things are Purusha, which literally translated from Sanskrit means that which dwells within. It is the eternal life force that is in all things. It is that which flows in and out of bodies and forms and consciousness, but is always itself unchanged, even though the exterior of things is always changing. The second concept, that's Purusha, that which dwells within. The second thing is called Hridayam, and it is the Sanskrit word for the anatomical heart, but it also means the essence of. So it's kind of like the heart essence. It's the core essence of our being. It is what makes us quintessentially ourselves. And the third concept, so that's Purusha, that which dwells within, Hridayam, which is the heart essence, and Sakshi is the final thing. Sakshi means the witness. It is the watchful eye. So these things all might seem separate. The watchful eye would be that which observes the self and recognizes the self. And the way we can kind of think about this, it's a little bit more approachable and doesn't use so many unfamiliar words, is if we look at a photograph of ourselves when we were very young, we identify that person as, that's me. And yet, we have a totally different body. We have maybe a very different personality. We dress different, we speak differently, we think differently. We've probably changed our minds several times over since we were that age. And yet, even though we're completely different on the outside, there is something inside of us that recognizes and remembers that life as our own. That is the consistent perspective. That is the Sakshi, the watchful eye. We also have Purusha, that which dwells within. We're going to kind of apply the hips and the pelvis to that Purusha, that which dwells within. We're going to connect that to the body and to the spirit that dwells within the body. Then the consistent perspective is that Sakshi, that watchful eye, that which observes. And then the heart is, of course, how we identify how we feel and how we express ourselves, what and how we love. And so these things that seem separate are actually three facets of the self. They're all the self, but they're all the self in different expressions. So we're going to kind of play with some of that tonight as we practice. The first shape that I'd like for us to take, we will use definitely either your bolster or your bed pillows, and possibly some blocks or some additional blankets and things for support. So we'll have that handy so we can use it. And the feet are going to come toward one another. They might be touching. They might be a little ways away from each other as well. Either one is fine. And then if you have blocks or some extra couch cushions or something like that, in restorative yoga, we're not really looking for a deep stretch. We're looking more for working into the deeper tissues, the ligaments and the joints themselves. And we're allowing gravity to provide the benefit. So we're not applying any effort at all, ideally. So especially if your knees are kind of hovering and you feel any kind of stretch or anything here, bring some kind of support under your knees. So having our bolster or bed pillows just nearby, we'll use that in a moment. First, just kind of shift your weight front, back, side to side, maybe make some circles. Feel how the weight shifts around the pelvic bowl. Maybe we feel one sitting bone and then the other. And then we're gonna see if we can find a consistent, steady place to just allow both sitting bones to feel evenly the weight of the body. So this is our consistent perspective, right? But we also have the body itself, Purusha. From here, we're going to try to line up the pelvis, the heart center, which we will open gently, and the crown of the head and sort of the head itself representing sort of our consciousness or our divine awareness. And just for a few moments, see if you can just allow the feet and legs to relax. Hands can be anywhere from resting in your lap or in between your thighs, or just rest along the floor. They can rest on your knees, any place that's comfortable. And try to become as still as you can. Notice any strong sensations, and if there might be any adjustment you could make to your support to be a little more relaxed and a little more comfortable. Then notice how in silence and in stillness, our awareness is so much more keen. Tap into the Sakshi, the witness, the observer, the watchful eye. And just watch your breath. Observe the experience of stillness and feeling maybe the heart beating and the ribs and lungs moving with your breath. So even in this stillness, there is motion to observe. There is an aliveness in the body, an awareness in the mind. And so the lesson here is when we feel out of control or we feel lost or we feel confused, see if there is some way in that moment to carve out some stillness and to turn the senses that normally are scanning the environment for information. See if you can turn the senses more inward. So 2 more words that mean the same thing. Svadhyaya means self-awareness or self-study. And then we also have pratyahara, which is not so much the withdrawal from the senses, but the turning of the senses inward rather than outward. Just observe within the stillness that flow for another 3 or 4 breaths. Maybe deepen the breath. Feel free to sigh out of the mouth. So this is the aligned self, where these 3 aspects of the self are lined up. We're going to take our bolster or our bed pillows and bring it in front of the body, so it might rest on the feet, which are together. You can kind of maybe push the edges down so that it's kind of underneath the belly, and that raises this section of your pillows up, especially if you're using pillows and not a bolster, which is maybe the pillows might be a little less firm. Maybe grab a blanket, or if you're not using your blocks, extra pillows, and just kind of give yourself a little boost at the far end of your support. And then just briefly, we're going to open the heart a little bit. So we're going to lift the heart up, we're going to lift the chin up, the throat is more open, the shoulders are soft and back. And then reach the heart for the far edge of your support. So we're kind of leaning but kind of staying long. And then hands might come to your support and forehead rest on the hands. If your support is too far away, you can also turn the chin towards the chest and then just very softly rest your head in your hands. You can also use additional pillows or folded blankets or towels to support the forehead, so you have a little space to breathe through the nose and the mouth. So once you've found your forward fold in this shape, again, notice if you might need an adjustment to any of the supports that you're using so that you can be more relaxed, more comfortable, more at ease. more in that place of silence. Encouraging observation, connecting to that silent witness, the Sakshi. I'd like for you to feel or notice any qualities that are present within you at the moment. What can you observe in yourself? And each of us is coming to this class experience from a different day. We've all had a different day from one another. What has the day brought out in you? And it's not about judging whether those are good things or bad things, just notice. The witness that we're talking about is not the, don't let it be confused with that self-critical voice that we sometimes hear in the mind. That's why it's called the silent witness. It doesn't have an opinion or a judgment. It is simply aware. Notice any physical sensations that might be coming to your attention. Just observe them. Notice the position of the pelvis, representing the body, representing the form which Purusha dwells within. Notice that even though we're curled forward and the front body is a little smaller or more compressed, that the heart center is still open at the back body, representing our Hridayam, our heart essence. Sometimes we look inside and we think that we see kind of a smallness or we've diminished in some way, but what we're not seeing is that infinite nature that is maybe somewhere unseen. And then finally, just notice the position of the head. And for about the next 7 to 10 rounds of breath, or while we're holding this pose, breathe in through the crown of the head, receiving wisdom, light, clarity, compassion, all from beyond our own understanding. Breathing in through the crown and let it flow out through the back of the heart. And see if in this more inward turning position, we can feel that flow of love, of consciousness, of awareness from our capital S self, our divine self, through our small s self, our temporary self. When you come to the end of your cycles of breath here, take one more really full breath in, as much breath as you can take into the back body, and then just kind of hold at the top of your exhale. Feel the vastness within. Feel the abundance available to you. And then just open your mouth and just let all the air out of your body. Kind of squeeze in the navel just a little bit to fully exhale all of your breath. Clear yourself out. And then relax on your exhale and just allow that next breath to flow in. If hands are on your support, you can use those, or maybe bring those to the earth beside your support. Just press your way back up. Let's come back into that neutral space. So aligning head, heart, and hips. Take a few breaths. Coming back to our natural state where all the facets of the self are harmonized and aligned. Not working against one another, but flowing together. We're going to take that support that we were using to lean forward on and bring it behind the body. So pillows or bolster coming behind you. I'm going to scoot myself forward just a little bit, ran out of room. And the short edges of your pillow or your bolster can come kind of near to the sacrum. And before we recline back, let's come back into that neutral space, kind of balance your weight between both sitting bones. Feel that alignment in the heart, the head, and the hips. We've taken some time coming from this alignment to look deeply within in our forward fold. And now that we've kind of discovered that treasure of Purusha within, we're gonna shine that out and reflect it back. So we're gonna roll slowly back. Notice how much support is happening behind your back. If you need more, add more. If it's too much, just scoot your support a little further away from your sacrum. Ideally, the head is relaxed and supported here. The shoulders might roll over the sides of your support. Palms can face upward. So we've taken some time to connect to that which dwells within, the Purusha within. We've looked into our own Hridayam, that essence of the heart. And in this shape, we just want to open our heart center right up to allow that light that is within us, that comes from our divine nature, to kind of shine back up and out. And what's beautiful about this pose is it's kind of like that glass half full, glass half empty kind of question. Is this a very receptive pose, or is it a very outward pose? Is this an introverted or an extroverted pose? The beauty is that with the palms and the heart open, we are allowing flow in both directions. Our love shines out, our hands do good work, and we receive love directly into the heart center, and our hands are open to receiving. Feel also with the knees wide, this opening through the hips. If your inner thighs are becoming taxed from staying in this position for a long time, you can also draw the knees back upright and just allow the soles of the feet to come to the floor, but just keep the knees wide. So some options for different bodies. And feel free, again, to, if the support doesn't feel right, to add or take away any support. Find your way back to the stillness and silence that enables our witnessing consciousness to be more clear. Release any tension in the face, the hands. Fully relax your shoulders and your breath. Feel the support below your spine and under your sitting bones. And in the spirit of opening up as a vulnerable thing, just trust in that support to hold you. And notice how, as you trust more, the heart and the belly open more. Not through effort, but through ease. Observe the flow of your breath. Observe the flow of sensation through the body. And even observe the flow of thoughts in the mind. Feel the shining from the Hridayam, the heart essence. Again, just observe whatever comes and notice it. Maybe you can imagine here that heart essence at the top of the body. It's the most lifted part of the body because of our support. And allowing that heart essence, maybe you can imagine it as golden light, kind of flowing down the spine, into the belly, into the hips, down the shoulders, relaxing them, and kind of sliding down the arms and pooling in the hands. Maybe you can feel that golden heart essence kind of shining into the throat. And when we are led by this heart essence, by our true nature, it affects the work that we do with our hands. It affects the way we speak and communicate and express who we are through the voice and the throat. It affects our creativity and the health of our bodies. As you feel the chest rise and fall, this time we're going to focus our attention on breathing into the heart center and right back out of the heart center. Feel the two directions of flow in that heart essence. Connect your individual heart to the source. About 5 to 7 more breaths in this shape. Use your exhales to release tension and shine out of your heart. Use your inhales to receive support and receive that golden light into your heart. Observe the body and the breath and notice when your body gives you the signal that it's time to come out of this shape. We're going to transition very slowly. Let's give our hips and inner thighs some relief. If they haven't already drawn back close together where the knees are pointing up, go ahead and move into that position now. Soles of the feet on the floor. It might feel good to press into the feet and just gently lift the sacrum up to the same height or level as your ribs and your heart, just giving your low back a little relief. And we can relax the spine back down. Maybe we roll off of our support to one side, or maybe just use the hands to press yourself up. But transition slowly, taking your time. Once you are back upright, any blocks that you might be using can either be set to the side, or if you haven't already raised the far edge of your pillows or bolster, a block or some pillows might be nice to give yourself a little angle. It can stay basically in that same place. And we can just relax the body back into the hands, just kind of leaning back, and just a little bit at a time. Let the knees fall side to side, getting a little wider with each pass. If you're like me, you're hearing a lot of snap, crackling, and popping. Our hips represent a lot of emotional storage that can happen through the hips. They affect our flexibility and our mobility, and so do stored emotions. Once we've gotten that joint a little warmed up here after being kind of out wide for so long, we're going to turn the body, and you can start with either side. We're going to do both. We're going to turn the body so that one hip is next to that short edge of your supports. Extra pillows and blankets might be useful here. We're going to let the opposite knee come either down into the curve of that foot, or if that's not comfortable for your body, you can always place a little support on your one shin and let the other knee rest on top. You might even need more than that. Any way that this rough shape can be kind of comfortable either here or here. Set yourself up with whatever supports you need there. So we have our one hip that's close to our support, and we're going to try to stay mostly upright again, just like we did before. We're going to feel that upright alignment of head, heart, and hips. Maybe just 3 breaths like this. Eyes can be opened or closed, but keep a consistent focus, whether it's inward or outward. Feel the relationship right now between the hips and the shoulders. They're probably facing roughly the same direction. Then whichever hip is closest to your support, use that arm to bring it behind the body and just kind of lift yourself up. Your other hand might come back as well. So we have that heart open shape. Then staying supported on the arm that's closest to your supports, take your opposite arm and bring it to the other side of your support. And we're going to start to twist the body toward that support. Hands on either side, and arms can be straight for just a moment. We're going to tuck the chin in towards the chest and let the shoulders fall forward. Just notice any strong sensations in the body. Just maybe one more breath here. And then we'll continue to walk the hands either forward or start to bend at the elbows and let the body come to rest on your supports. And again, if you're using pillows and not a firm bolster, you might need an extra blanket or two or an extra cushion here for your head. Knees and nose can rest in the same direction. If it's comfortable for your body, you can have them facing opposite directions. And feel free to change your mind halfway through the pose. So by twisting, we have invited in the ever-changing form that our body takes, that the world takes. And we can sometimes get wrapped up in our identity as that changing form. But in an effort to focus on Purusha, that eternal self that dwells within, and the heart essence, which is this Purusha, and the witness which observes this relationship, I'd like to share with you guys from the Pratya Bijna Hridayam. It is a Sanskrit book of sutras. It says, when one is fully aware, the mind itself becomes consciousness by rising to the state of full expansion through inward-facing contemplation. So when we're on our back bends, we feel that full expansion. When we are kind of chin to chest, we feel that inward-facing contemplation. The sutras go on attaining strength, one makes the universe one's own. Another way to understand this is when you understand your true essence, you understand that you are the universe. This state of liberation while living is the unwavering experience of oneness with consciousness, even while one perceives the body, and so on the attainment of the bliss of consciousness. The bliss of consciousness is attained through expansion of the center. So again, that heart opening, the heart essence expanding out into other areas of our lives. In this regard, expansion for the center are the dissolution of thoughts, so just not following them, noticing that they're happening but not staying connected to them. Contraction and expansion of one's own power. cessation of the flow of the incoming and outgoing vital energy, and just being aware of the flow itself. An awareness of the point at the beginning and the end, and so on. So feel how as we move the body forward and back, and as now we are in the flow of this twist, we've kind of allowed the body to relax into the shift. Just 2 or 3 more breaths in this shape. Palms can turn down, and again, press into your mat or the space on either side of your support. And again, we're going to turn away from the support again and just lean back into the hands. Take any motion forward and back in the heart that maybe feels good, and the knees again can fall side to side a few times. We're going to take exactly that same series of shapes with the other side of the body. So turn your opposite hip to your support. Find a position for your feet and legs that's comfortable with or without support between the knees. And then try to stay upright for just a few rounds of breath. Feel the alignment of head and heart and hips. The alignment and together connected flow of the whole self, all the facets of the self. Then whichever arm is closest to your support, lean back into that and lift the heart. Maybe the other arm also comes back to support you. Throat is open. Heart is open. We feel that expansion from the center of our heart essence. And again, we'll transition, so staying connected to that supportive arm. Opposite arm is going to come to the other side of your bolster. And before we come down, just holding your body with your arms, let your chin drop into your chest. Take a moment to look within that inward-facing contemplation. Acknowledging the essence of the heart. And again, walking ourselves slowly down or bending at the elbows to recline or rest on the support. When you find your shape, take several rounds of breath to fine-tune it. Make adjustments to your support or your props or the position of your body so that you can fully relax. Feel the twisting of the spine as the turning of the world, the changing of the self, the outer forms that are temporary and always evolving. Find the joy of that play, of the shift, the novelty of each moment. And also feel that trust in the support. Remember the feelings of the expansion from the center, and remember the feelings of looking inward into your own heart essence. The Sakshi is observing all of these states of being. And just for your contemplation while you in stillness represent the changing, swirling motion of the world and of the temporary self, I'd like to read to you a quote from BKS Iyengar, who was the founder of Iyengar Yoga. He's speaking here about the role of asana, the posture practice in yoga. He said, when you do the asana correctly, the self, and this is capital S, the self opens by itself. This is divine yoga. Here, the capital S, self, is doing the asana, not the body or the brain. No doubt one may say that reading holy books is spiritual practice, but what I teach is spiritual practice in action. I use the body to discipline the mind and reach the soul. Asana then, when done with the right intention, will help transform an individual by taking the person away from the awareness of the body and toward the consciousness of the soul. So relaxing here in this turning state, this representation, this postural representation of the turning of the world and of the mind and of the self, and yet find in your stillness that consistent perspective of the Sakshi, the witness. Feel the heart essence. Maybe you even feel the physical heart beating. Feel that golden light within you of that which dwells within Purusha. We'll take about 5 to 7 more breaths here in this twist. And again, when you are observing your body closely and you feel the signal that it's time to come out of the pose, do so slowly by pressing into the floor on either side of your supports and just kind of gently rising back up. Turn your body again away from your supports. Maybe the knees again fall side to side. Maybe we lift and lower the chin and the heart center a few times. We've done some forward folding to look within our own hearts. We've done some backward bending to expand from our center. We've done some twisting to flow with the changes of the self and the world rather than resisting. Our last step is to find our alignment and practice what we can do to relax and come back into our flow when we have lost our alignment temporarily. So for this, these two poses, a symmetry of two sides, we're going to lie flat on the back. And depending on your body, that may or may not be super comfortable for you. If you would like, you could use your bed pillows or your bolster to raise up either underneath the knees or underneath the shins, or rather the calves, like this. You can also come flat if you like. And again, take a moment to really settle in. See if you can lengthen your sacrum away from the back of your skull. See if you can tuck the shoulder blades just softly under the body to find that expansion from the heart center. Come into a place of that effortless alignment. Each time we found the alignment of head, heart, and hips, we've been upright. And in this case, it's a lot easier to find that linear alignment as we relax into the support of the floor. Feel free to use any blankets or pillows behind the body in some way to support you if needed. A rolled towel or blanket under the knees is also nice. Just take about 3 to 5 more breaths, experiencing as fully as possible the aligned state of our 3 facets of being. Purusha, that which dwells within. Hridayam, the essence of the heart. And Sakshi, the consistent, observing witness consciousness. So it's pretty comfortable to be centered and aligned. And if we could always feel this way, we would have attained enlightenment already. We'd have no more work to do. But as it is, we are human, and we have our lessons yet to learn. So we're going to purposely simulate the idea of coming out of balance, coming out of our senses a little bit. So the hips here are going to be our steady, consistent position.
they're going to stay put. The heart and the head are going to shift to one side of the mat. Again, we're going to do both, so you can shift right or left first. But just kind of walk your head and your shoulders kind of slowly, one little step at a time, until your body's sort of half moon shaped over to one side. A little C shape in the upper body. You'll notice that whatever side you walked your body to, from shoulder to hip, is small and compressed. And the way you walked away from that hip and shoulder are expanded and broadened from one another. See if you can imagine that golden light from your heart essence kind of filling up that open space that's been made on that side of your body. Feel how the heart, the head, and the hips are not as aligned as they once were. Notice also that unlike when we were lying in that aligned position, there is more sensation in the body. Do what you can to relax your shoulders, which are the representation of responsibility and doing. Let those things relax. When you find yourself out of balance, pause, find your stillness, call on that self-observing Svadhyaya witness of Sakshi. Feel some kind of expansion in your heart. Bring attention to that heart center. And feel that consistency, not of the body, not of our thoughts, not of our appearance, but of that Purusha consciousness, that which dwells within the body. Connecting to those things, even in this asymmetrical shape, we begin to feel more harmonized. And of course, we begin to notice how not in alignment we are. So just take 3 more breaths, experiencing the not alignment and noticing whether or not you're able to find peace, even unaligned. And as you are more aware of this misalignment, you start to begin to notice what needs to change to find your alignment again. So nice and slow, start to walk your head and your shoulders and your heart back into alignment with the hips, taking your time again to transition. When you find yourself centered, kind of shake everything out again. Maybe we find that little lift in the heart center by tucking the shoulder blades. Palms are facing up again. Arms can be by your side or kind of up overhead with elbows wide. And just pause until your body lets go. Until you feel the effortlessness of true alignment. When our head and our heart and our body are aligned, when our heart essence, that which dwells within, and our observing consciousness are all aligned, we can rest in the support around us. We have the open space around us as freedom. Just take a few more breaths, kind of sip the taste of that alignment until it settles into your bones. And then we practice again, finding our way out of alignment. So start to walk your head, your heart, your shoulders over now to the other side of your mat. Find that same C shape in the body. Arms again can be wide, they can be kind of up and overhead, they can rest on your belly or your ribs. So just find a place for your arms to be. And then see if you can soften here. There might be more tension, there's probably stronger sensations. Just like in life, when things are going really well, we don't really think too much about how we need to do anything. But when we're out of alignment, when something's out of balance in our lives, suddenly there's a lot of sensations allowing us to know that things are out of alignment. And this is not just physical. So feel the sensations, be present to them. Don't judge them, just observe them with that Sakshi witness. Feel that consistency still in your hips, that same place. See if you can still open your heart here or connect to that golden heart essence. See if you can feel it flowing out of the larger, more expanded side of your body. breathe here and be with the misalignment. Acknowledge it. Be present to it. Witness it with your own essence. Witness it not as your individual self, but as the self that dwells within. The divine, the eternal, the unchanging. And again, the longer we observe from this silence, the more we start to notice where the imbalances are in the body, in the mind. We start to feel how we are not aligned. And with that awareness, rather than using it as a reason to judge the self or criticize the self, use that information to help you find your alignment again. So nice and slow, take the journey. Realign the head, the heart, and the hips. And again, take your time to settle into that space. We might stay exactly as we are once we find that alignment for Shavasana, for our resting pose. If you would prefer to take a different position or rearrange your props in some way, feel free to experiment with that. Other options besides the one we've taken are just lying flat on your back. It might seem strange, but a folded blanket, especially, or a towel, especially if it's kind of a heavy, thick blanket, can feel really nice when you're lying down. It can feel really good just kind of resting over the pelvis and the pelvic bones. It's grounding. It's kind of like the same concept as a weighted blanket. It just kind of gives you that sense of being anchored. And this is representing our consistency, so that might feel really good. Might also take just a very small either towel or blanket or something to gently place underneath the spine to kind of lift the heart. Maybe you have a very small pillow or something. Maybe you just tuck your shoulder blades a little underneath the body. And again, hands can be up high, they can be out to a T, they can be down by your side. So we've addressed the hips, we've addressed the heart. Then just gently turn the head. Let it roll along the back of your skull a few times in each direction before finding a position in the center to pause. So take all the time you need to settle into your stillness. And as we let go of doing, our awareness and our ability to observe becomes more keen. As I get older and I begin to look at computer screens and books from further and further away and realize that I can't see them, when I put my glasses on, suddenly everything becomes clear. The stillness of these restorative yoga poses is like placing the glasses on. Things become more clear. The edges of things are more defined. Connect to the hips, just notice the stability, the steadiness there of that which dwells within the body. Connect to Hridayam, the heart essence. Feel that golden light spreading down into the arms and hands, into the pelvic bowl, shining up into the throat center. And finally, notice where the head is positioned. Find a stillness in the mind, or as close to stillness as we can, and just observe that witnessing state of being. When we find our stillness, we ideally have the heart still beating, the lungs still inflating and deflating. There is movement in the body. And in the same way, we can offer that same respect and freedom to our mind. We don't expect complete stillness from the mind, but we can observe the thoughts flowing just as we observe the heartbeat or the breath flowing.
settle in and simply watch within. And even allow your senses to be both inward and outward. Notice any ambient sounds. And rather than thinking of this as distractions, just allow them to flow through you. Just like the thoughts that we observe but don't follow. Just like the breath that we observe, but once the breath has left the body, we don't wonder where it has gone to. Just allow every part, the whole experience of this moment to flow through you. a simultaneous stillness in the body and mind, as well as the motion in the body and the mind. Feel the eternal and unchanging self, as well as the changing form of the body and the changing thoughts of the mind. Feel the essence of who and what you are from your heart center. Feel it expanding and radiating outward. Feel that light within you, of that which dwells within the heart center and is observed. As you rest in this place of stillness, as you observe that flow happening within you and the flow of the world all around you, begin to allow that flow from your heart center to reach down into the fingertips and the toes. Perhaps the nose begins to sway side to side as you gently begin to widen, rolls along the back of the head again to awaken the neck. The idea is to move slowly from this stillness back into action, so that as we flow, as we find movement again, we find flow with, and we retain that stillness of the within, the inner essence, the inner observer, the inner self. So depending on how you've taken your resting shape, feel free to find some stretch of some kind, maybe sending the arms and legs out and away from the body, reaching the fingers and toes away. Feel yourself flowing from outside or from inside the body to the outside. See if you can kind of push your essence very past the very edges of your body. And then feeling the opposite flow, begin to take that whole universe that we've stretched ourselves into and pull it in towards the self in some way. Let everything come in towards the center. Find that inward turning attention. Then from that place, taking your time for the transition, find your way nice and slow back into your upright seat. And as you arrive in that seat, again, kind of place the hips and sitting bones so that you feel consistent, that you feel that stability in the hips, acknowledging that which dwells within the body. Feel just hovering above the hips, feel your heart open and golden, radiant, shining, the essence of your true self. And feel the head lifting, reaching upward, longing, your individual consciousness sort of longing for that connection to its source. Relax your shoulders, take a big breath in and release. Turning the palms upward. We have in one hand the individual self, in the other hand the cosmic or universal self. We have the motion in one hand, we have the stillness in the other hand. We have the, each opposite. We have each thing. And as a state of yoga, or in that state of yoga, or aiming for that state of yoga, we bring the palms to touch, to unify them, and then pull that into our heart essence, recognizing and acknowledging that our true nature is that oneness. As we find our own peace, as our peace becomes so strong that it flows outward like that golden light from our heart essence, when we are led by that place, our higher self, our whole life becomes a practice of service to others. And so we end our practice with this prayer. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy, healthy, safe, and free. Namaste.